The types of personal information Solar collects is very depending on your transaction with them. So this generally consists of the following: personal information such as full name, nickname, home address, billing address, shipping address, email address, employment information, telephone, other personal contact numbers, username, password, and one-time PIN. Sensitive personal information such as birth date, age, nationality, marital status, gender, health, education, and government-issued identification document, which includes but not limited to identified cards, licenses, social security numbers, and etc. So, background and employment records, including your educational background, employment history, certifications, trainings attended, resume, and previous income information, and financial details such as credit history, bank account, pay slips, credit card, and debit card information. Why Soler process your personal information? So Soler collect, use, store, retain, disclose, dispose, and process your personal information in order to fulfill specific purposes which they inform you. Their information subjects through privacy notices and statements, forms and other relevant media or documents. So, in general, they process your personal information for any of the following of these purposes. So, to provide information about their products and services which may be of interest to you, to respond to your requests and queries when you communicate with them through the chat channels, voice calls, emails, contacts, access, or other forms of messaging. So, to perform functions necessary to deliver Solar's products and services, and to respond to specific complaints, inquiries, requests, or manage features interactions. It also to notify and update you through calls, SMS, or emails about their complimentary, commercial, and promotional advertisements, loyalty rewards offers, exclusive invites, discounts, surveys, and other direct marketing that they deem relevant and beneficial to you based on your preference and interest initially provide to them or made aware of, with which you can opt out anytime should you prefer not to receive these notifications. It also to provide various care activities to monitor and the quality of their products and services, to ensure your safety and security, to generate statistical insights, to keep records of your gaming activities and know your customer information as required by relevant laws and regulations, to conduct research and analysis to improve customers' experience or satisfaction. It is also to create photo or video documentation for events which are used for reporting and other internal purposes, such as promotional activities and advertisements in social media pages and websites, and etc. To personalize Solar's websites and applications, and generate information and possible improvements thereon. And it also to comply with legal and regulatory requirements, and to perform other processing or disclosure that may be required under law or regulations. The collection of personal information. So they collect personal information from you in a variety of ways through their forms, applications, contact channels, and team members. Identification and contact information. So in order to verify your identity, they may request your identification and contact information during queries, registration, room and table reservations, purchases, and other transactions. So this includes, but is not limited to, your name, date of birth, contact address, contact email, contact number, passwords, and one-time pins. So they may also collect transactional information that you provide to them whenever you engage in transactions with any of their gaming or resource outlets, either on property or online. So this includes credit or debit card details, account numbers and balances, identification information or documents, and details of your transaction history. Third party information. So it may also collect information about you from the other parties. So they will use personal information only where you have provided your consent to their third party, or where Soler has a legitimate interest to use the personal information to provide you with their services or fulfill a legal or regulatory obligation. So Soler is very sensitive to privacy issues, and it is especially careful in its communication with children. So Soler does not knowingly or intentionally collect personal identity fiable information from persons under the age of 18 and below. Person under the age of 21 are not permitted to play in their gaming facility or loiter in gaming areas. So personal information pertaining to children and collected from their parents is used by Soler or other entities that provide technical fulfillment or other services to Soler. So these personal information are not sold. So meanwhile, they urge the parents to regularly monitor and supervise their children on online activities. So Soler also protect your personal information. So they take reasonable steps to ensure that the personal information they collect, use, or disclose are accurate, complete, and up to date. So they strictly enforce this privacy policy within Soler. And they have implemented technological, organizational, and physical security measures to protect your personal information from loss, misuse, modification, unauthorized or accidental access or disclosure, alteration or destruction. So they also put in effect safeguards such as the following. So they keep and protect your personal data using secured servers behind the firewall. They also employ encryption on computing devices and physical security controls. They also restrict access to your personal information to qualified and authorized personnel who hold your personal data with strict confidentiality. So personal data or information that you provide to them through their website and applications can only be accessed and processed by authorized personnel through secure connections and environments. So they reveal only the last four digits of your credit card numbers when confirming an order. They use multi-factor authentication when verifying your identity. Retention of personal information or data. So in generally, they adhere to the following personal information or data retention standards. So first, if the data subject has an existing contract and transaction with Soler, so the personal data will be retained all throughout the contract period and 10 years after its completion. Second, so if the data subject has no existing contract but has existing transaction with Soler, the personal data will be retained during the transaction and 10 years after its fulfillment. So third and last, if the data subject has no existing contract and transaction with Soler, the personal information will be retained for a period of 10 years. Personal data are stored in secure facilities and are retained in accordance with the above parameters. So, industry standards, laws, and regulations, unless you request that your personal information be deleted from their systems, databases, and hard copies within a reasonable time, and subject to limitations stated in relevant laws and rules. So once it deleted, your personal data will be no longer searchable or included in anonymous searches and will be completely removed from all storage locations. So the data privacy officer or DPO may, however, choose not to grant access or correct information based on the request to comply with relevant laws and regulations. So the DPO will give the individual a written notice that sets up the reasons for the refusal. Solar has no control and therefore cannot enforce the same amount of security on any of the device and applications that you use to access their site or application. So, or to send them your personal information They are therefore not responsible for the security and protection of information that may have been intercepted prior to their receipt or your personal information. So, information systems are employed in the tourism sector to make it easier for tourists to find, personalize, and purchase tourism services and goods. It aids also the creation, administration, and distribution of offers to tourists around the world.